Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Rest is Football with Micah Richards, Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. We're recording this one early on Monday morning after watching England and Lee Carsley bounce back from the disappointing defeat against Greece with a comprehensive victory against Finland in Helsinki. Played with a striker, Al, as we predicted he might do for this particular game. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was better, but I mean, it was always going to be, wasn't it? He was always going to play with a centre forward, whether that was Harry or whether it was Ollie Watkins or whoever, after the mistake on, what was it, Thursday evening. Yeah, but it was difficult. It was always going to be impossible not to be better because of the opposition, because of how bad they were against Greece. Changed a lot of players around, which he was entitled to do after the performance and results. So, yeah, it was a lot better.
You just never know, though, dear Al. You know, the opposition, I think, when you play for your country, it's such an honour, isn't it? And then sometimes you play some teams, you go there and like, we should be beating these 6-7-0, really. Finland had some good chances, especially in the first half as well, didn't they? So You never quite know where you're at. I agree, I think it was better. I still think there's details within the team we need to get right. Playing Cole Palmer out on the wing, it just doesn't work for me. I know Bellingham is the main man, or they're making him the main man of this team, but I just think when you've got someone as talented of a Foden or a Palmer in that number 10 free role, I think he's better suited there. I'd put Bellingham further back, like we discussed in the Euros. I just don't think the balance in midfield is right at this moment in time. We sort of have everyone attacking at the same time and just leaving a big, massive gap in midfield. And it almost, on transition, it's like it can always get done by not even such a top team. So in terms of the manager, I think it's fine because he's trying things. But in terms of the performance, it was okay.
You're always going to have to leave one or two of those players out.
You can't play them all, can you?
I mean, there's going to be at least two upset in most England games. If they're all playing well and they're all playing fit for their clubs, then they all can't play in the England team. So there's going to be disappointments, which is fine. That's the way it should be. Because the balance isn't right, obviously, when all of them are playing and you're trying to put one in there or one in there. And I mean, you're on about Palmer. You've got so many talented players that you'll have to leave one or two out in every England game.
I'd ask the question, who would we play in the number 10 now? Realistically.
Well, it doesn't really matter who we would play, does it?
But
I know what you mean. It's about who he should play. It's difficult because you've got Foden, Palmer, Bellingham,
Grealish,
Maddison.
So it's a dilemma. I suppose it's a good dilemma to have. You're much better off having a choice between 4 or 5 really, really top players, and Foden as well, obviously, all those top players, than it is to have 4 really poor players to choose from. So it will be hard. And do you just go with the player in form at the right time? I think what will happen at some point, you would think, is that you perhaps stumble across the right formation, the right team, and it just starts to happen.
What's your thoughts on Trent at left back as well, Micah?
I was watching it from a fullback's point of view, and I'm thinking, at times I can see it because he just basically went into midfield. But at times Kyle Walker was overlapping as well. So you sort of left Trent a little bit exposed in positions where he can be got at a little bit. If he's going to play fullback and left back on the wrong side, you've got to be able to make sure that Kyle Walker stays and he goes into midfield as soon as possible, so he doesn't get as exposed as he did at times in the game. On build-up, it's a little bit difficult because we've seen Trent and how good his delivery is and how good his passing is. But sometimes the way Finland were pressing, he was on his left foot. So a lot of and he can use both feet, but not as good as his right foot when he's in them dangerous positions. So I would have sacrificed, I would have put Kyle Walker at left back and basically said, Trent, you do this, go forward, you step in and just have your free centre-halves at the back and just use Kyle Walker's pace for the defensive side of stuff and sort of don't worry about the build-up on that side of the pitch as much. I just think you're losing a lot on that right-hand side for someone who's got a wand of a right foot on the build-up.
His free kick was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Fantastic. I saw that. It was absolutely beautiful, wasn't it? I've got some his stats here. Trent, 1 free kick scored, obviously. 130 touches, 95 passes completed, 6 accurate long balls, 10 passes into the final third, 3 out of 3 duels won, 4 what's that? 4 ball recoveries. Does that mean when it goes out for a throw-in, you go and get it? And 2 clearances. So, I mean, it looks like he did okay. But obviously, you face bigger tests and stuff. And it's hard. As you said many times, that suddenly changing from right back to left back is probably the biggest change a player can make in playing actually probably the same position almost.
I've explained many times just the way you have to receive the ball. And if you think you got the best passer probably in the team, is that fair? Why would you...
Best passer in probably as good a passer as anywhere in world football.
Kane's not bad in as well though, is he? When he drops in, Kane's not bad.
Kane can pass, but he's still not Trent. He's still not Trent.
So why would you limit your best passer of the ball when your total body shape is completely... I understand why did they put him there. So if you ask me why, I understand why, because he's the most comfortable on the ball and he can fill in and he's going to step into midfielders anyway. But on that right-hand side, going from midfield, the amount of balls he puts in from that side, the whip, the bend, I understand why, but I would have just played him right. And we've got to think, we've got to look forward. Is Kyle Walker going to be going to the World Cup? If he's going to go into the World Cup, keep him within the side. If he's not going to go to the World Cup, what's the point? This is what I don't understand. Like Kyle Walker, he's 2 years younger than me now, so he'll be 34. If he's definitely, as long as he's fit and healthy, going to go to the World Cup, I don't mind it. If you're going to build up and have a 3 at the back and he's going to use his pace on the counter-attack, I get it. But if he's not going to be sort of involved later on, it's like, why didn't you try someone else? And that is exactly the problem was in the Euros. We played Kane for so long. And then Kane gets injured or Kane needs a rest. Everyone's thinking, who are we going to play now? Or should we play Watkins? Or he's not had that many games. He's not had that much experience. Play the players now who potentially could be playing at the World Cup.
There were many positives, I thought, last night, but I thought defensively we looked dodgy again. We give so many chances. We're in the city. The guy missed in the second half. Oh, my word. He missed from a yard, didn't he?
Over the bar,
top.
yeah.
Henderson would be devastated that he couldn't keep the clean sheet through no fault of his own, I think. But they got done with the corner in the last few minutes. And yeah, there were a few chances that better opposition, I think, would have taken. But overall, it was definitely better.
Angel Gomez. He's an interesting one, isn't he? He was at Man United, obviously, a few years ago, about 4 years ago. He moved to Lille. He went to Portugal on loan. I think it was Boa Vista for a year. He's not a player that obviously we'd seen too much, but he was starting to make a real name for himself at Lille, a very good Lille side. And he's adapted very well, I thought. I mean, I saw that early on, absolutely superb pass, wasn't it, for Jack Grealish's goal?
Yeah, I think what he also does as well, he allows sort of Declan to play more his game as well, Declan Rice, because he's not a sitting midfielder, although he can do it. A big part of his game is getting forward and making those runs. You see that with his goal. So I think Angel Gomez, He brought a lot to the team. I mean, the pass was incredible, which you need that when opposition are going to sit deep, try and be tight and compact. You need someone who can produce that piece of brilliance with a pass. And his pass for the Grealish goal was brilliant.
We were talking last week, weren't we, about the fact that we don't necessarily produce that kind of Busquets, Xabi Alonso figure in English football. Is he the answer to that, Micah? Could he be?
In terms of On the ball, yes. He got a load of assists last season. I don't remember after one of the European nights. I did mention him. He's silky on the ball. What people don't understand, he was never a holding midfielder. When he was at Man United, he was a winger or forward midfielder, and now he's sort of been moulded into this role. So in the French league, he's one of the best players in Liga. He's without doubt. International football, he looks calm and composed, but I'm not sure is the answer. Obviously, Carsley had him at the 21s, and that's when they won, and he played in that position for the 21s. And when he played in that position, it was like, why is Gomez playing as like the deep line midfielder? We used to him saying, taking people on and making passes and all that sort of thing. I think he's definitely got a chance, but it's the same thing that we always say, isn't it? We can't have one player playing a certain way and another player play. Like, he's good when England have the ball because he keeps the ball moving, and he does read stuff. He can intercept on teams on counter-attacks, but there's no point having him who wants to play football and then the rest of the team not playing football. So I think that it's a team thing, not necessarily just one man's job. But in terms of someone who wants to get on the ball, he can do that role. To what level is yet to be seen.
Good finish from Jack Grealish from that pass from Angel Gomez. Probably important for Jack, for his morale and everything. He's back in the squad, missed out. And we know how disappointed he was in the summer to miss out. It must have been real tough. And it's good to see him back and scoring goals. He's a bit different, Jack. He gives you something different.
We all know how disappointed he was. He said it himself now, hasn't he? Come out and said it last week that he felt as if he should have gone. And the competition that he's up against, I mean, we all like him. There's no doubt about it. We all think he's a brilliant player, and he's stuck it away really, really well, which will be hugely important for him. Because I said when you mentioned all of those players, he's in there as well. We mentioned Maddison. So when you get that opportunity, you've got to take it. And I thought he was without doubt one another positive for England last night.
Yeah, we know my feelings on Jack. Sometimes I feel a little bit frustrated because I know he's got more. Obviously, I was with him at Aston Villa where he was a bit fearless. At Man City, he still is fearless, but he's in a system which makes him look not as fearless at times. So it was just nice for him to, because he's played really well for Carsley, hasn't he? You know, since the start, and his interview afterwards, he said he really enjoys playing for him. So he needs to keep it going now.
You're always going to get players when they're playing saying, "I really enjoy playing for the manager." You're not going to get any of the.
This is the best manager I've ever played for. Give me a game. Thank you very much, boss. Yeah. You imagine coming out after going, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah,
bloke.
exactly.
But which brings me on nicely to Lee Carsley, it's quite hard to read him with his interviews. I mean, he was saying
quite hard. He's playing poker, chess,
I know.
drafts all at once.
It's because we saw him, didn't we, last week? And he said, "Well, I'm just happy to go back to the under-21s." And I thought to myself, I think what he was saying there, if I don't get the job, hopefully I'll get my under-21 job back. And then obviously after last night's game, he's gone, this job deserves a world-class coach who has won trophies, and I am still on the path to that. So he's not exactly trying to sell himself, is he?
You've got to back yourself, haven't you? You've got to back yourself. Or if, say he's doing the 21s and you've been giving it for free camps, and the last one's November, make it clear, I don't want the job, I just want to go back to the 21s. It's sort of like he's gone to see how the game's gone, seen what the reaction's been like from the fans and the media, and then he's rolling with it, has a bad result against Greece, and was like, well, I was never really in for the job anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's just about the process and seeing new talent. But he's obviously a very good coach, and I like him. I like all the things that he's imaginative. He's always trying new different things, and you have to. What's the point playing the same way that okay, it's got us to finals, but we've got this array of talent now. We have to try something different. So I enjoy the fact that he's trying something new. He gets one bad result. Everyone turns on him, and now...
Well, he turned on himself, really. I wonder whether he knows something about what's happening in terms of they're looking for a new manager. They've probably... I think they've sounded out coaches. That's what the rumours are. That's what we've heard. I wonder whether he thinks he's not going to get it. So therefore, he's just perhaps protecting himself and wants to get his other job back. I don't know, because it seems a little bit kind of defeatist. I've not done it. They need a winning coach. I mean, look at the two teams that have just won international tournaments. Spain didn't have a guy who'd won trophies before. Certainly not in league football. Lee Carsley's won a World Cup.
Yeah.
So he has won a trophy, but he's talking about club sides. I wonder whether they've been sounding out people and he's found out and he just doesn't believe he's going to get the job.
Gary, if the FA were not speaking and sounding out people, then they're not doing their job properly.
Correct.
They would have to have been speaking to people, asking them whether they're in, whoever that may be, whether it's Pep, whether it's Eddie Howe, whether it was Jurgen Klopp, whoever it was, they would have to have been in the last few weeks speaking or finding out information about people and whether they're interested in taking the England job. So, I mean, he and Lee Carsley must know that also. Yeah, but his comments are really, I found them strange as well. I mean, Gareth wasn't a guy that had won trophies already, and he was in the job for years.
And neither's the World Cup winning manager Scaloni. Very little experience with Argentina.
And then he's also, his comment will say, and hopefully I'll go back to the under 21s. I don't know. It was sort of.
It's like this fun, isn't it? Right, it was your first choice. And I was your second choice.
Well, that happens.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
It's what you do with your opportunity. And that was it, no?
Can I say, Micah, that for this podcast, The Rest is Football, you were first choice. Okay? I think what you're going back to the Match of the Day top 10s when Brighty was thinking. But yeah, I mean, Brighty obviously was unavailable anyway. But, right, we put a poll out on social media. And we asked the Rest is Football listeners, all of you, to pick your England 11. And boy, you came. 20,000 of you actually voted on what you thought should be England's starting 11 or your choice for starting 11. It was done on the basis that everyone was fit and available, as opposed to from the squad of the last two fixtures. So a huge thank you for all of you taking part. We wanted to see, really get a feel for what you feel should be the England team. And I suppose the headline news is, because you know what these things are like, it's always about who doesn't make it. So there was no Foden in the side because you obviously can't play all these players all the time. But this is your team. Pickford in goal. A back four of Trent at right back, Stones, Mark Gay, Luke Shaw at left back, who's obviously been mostly injured in the recent year or so. In midfield, Bellingham and Rice, with Palmer in the number 10 role, Saka on the right, Gordon on the left, and Harry Kane up top.
That's a marvellous team.
That's the team, actually, really, isn't it, that most of us wanted for the Euros.
Yes! Bellingham further back with Rice. Yeah. Brilliant. You've still got your fullback who can come into midfield to make an extra one if need be. You've got pace down the left-hand side when Shaw gets back fit. Hopefully it'll be sometime soon. You've got Gordon to run in behind because Kane could come short. You've got Grealish to come off the bench. You've got Cole Palmer in the number 10 position. Saka to the right.
Yeah.
And Foden and Palmer and whatever, they can rotate, can't they, you know?
Have you applied for the England job?
Oh, me?
Yes!
Honest to God, if I was doing the England job, we'd be balling out, mate. We'd be bumping tic-a-tac-a-tac with a little bit of Italian flavour from Florence and then
A little bit of Italian flavour.
Spanish flavour from Pellegrini, what he taught me. You know what I mean? I'm
Give him the
Get your
job.
versatile.
CV in. Get your CV in.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. I see Greece won their game again. That's 4 out of 4. So there's a danger of England are going to probably have to go to Athens and win that particular game to actually come top and get back against tough opposition. So that's it for today's episode of The Rest is Football. We'll be back on Wednesday with our Q&A episode. Thank you for continuing to send your questions for us. Do keep them coming. A reminder, the best way of getting your questions into us is at therestisfootball.com. I've got a feeling maybe we should approach the FA and say we'll pick the England team on our podcast with all that. We've got 20,000 people. They've got to know what they're doing, that many people. you imagine the debates. Have a great week, everyone. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Have a great week.